Hey everybody, it's your Sam, and today I want to talk a little bit about some of the webcomics I've been reading, particularly some of my favorite ones that I've been continuing to read this year. So first I want to go over the platforms that I read these on. The first one is going to be Tapas, and Tapas is a lovely platform. You sign up and you purchase ink, which then you use to purchase episodes of each of the webcomics that you want to read. They do run sales and specials every now and then, and most of the artwork and most of the comics that I have found on Tapas are gorgeous and really well put together. Now, they do have some novels on there too, so if you prefer to read the novel version of some of these comics, you can do so on Tapas. The next one is going to be Webtoons. Some of you in the anime manga world probably have heard more about Webtoons than you have about Tapas. Webtoons is known for some of its famous works being put into anime, like the God of High School, Tower of God, True Beauty, and I think Noblesse as well. In Webtoons, you purchase coins in order to purchase the episodes of each one of the comics that you want to read. Alright, without further ado, let's get into my favorites here. The first I want to go over is Sigrid. Sigrid is a honorable knight who does everything that she thinks she is supposed to. She follows the orders of her king to a T, and then he kind of throws her under the guillotine. As soon as she thinks that she's going to die, she wakes up 5 years in the past. I'm still trying to figure out if she's going to change her fate or not. But she has been making some changes. She tries to live a more honorable life. She tries to change some of the steps that she took so that she doesn't become the king's right hand. The artwork is gorgeous for this, and yeah, it's beautiful. Next is the perks of being a villainess. As you can see from the cover here, the artwork is amazing as well. It is another romance fantasy. This is one of the reborn into a novel trope stories that are all over Tapas and Webtoon. The main character, she just kind of wants to survive. Her name is Deborah, and she used to be this doormat, is how she is described. And she is born into this villainess's body, so she is trying to find the balance between her normal doormat self and the overpowering aura that is the villainess. And it is hilarious just to see how she keeps surpassing everyone's expectations and surprising everyone because of these mood changes, so to speak. Next is another romantic fantasy, or romance fantasy. Ellie, the main character, is married into a dukedom at a very young age. Now, granted, they don't officially become married until they become of age, but she is moved into the dukedom at a very young age. She meets her husband when they are still children, and they grow up together. But during all of this, Zachary, her future husband, is treated as a monster because of his powers, even by his own father. At a very young age, he has to go out and battle monsters. So she has taken it upon herself to prove to Zachary that he is not a monster. It's a very cute romance. The artwork is beautiful, and there are some political intrigues going on there because the dukedom is at odds with the imperial family, and that's all I'm going to say about that. This next one, I Failed to Oust the Villain, is another romance fantasy. I have a lot of romance fantasies on this list. This drew me in, one, by the male leads look, the white hair with the red eyes, and then the title itself. I knew it was going to be a little bit different than normal. Again, it's another reborn into a novel trope, but she tries her best to thwart the character's ending as best as she can, and she has managed to survive, but she has failed to really do anything against the villain to stop him. And lo and behold, the villain is kind of attached to her now and wants her to survive and protects her, and he doesn't understand his feelings for her. And that's how the story kind of unfolds. The first couple of chapters, I was really hooked because it shows the moment when a slave or a pet in this world overthrows his owners, and I really like that. It's kind of dark and broody. Next on top is this absolutely cute and gorgeous romance fantasy, and I was drawn to this because of the premise. A war breaks out and the royal family flees. The 8th princess, her name is Zelene, is knocked out and she wakes up in the body of a falcon. Trying to figure out what happened to her family, she becomes a messenger bird for Commander Valhi, who was supposed to marry her eldest sister. She kind of develops feelings for him, and he kind of develops feelings for her. And it's a weird relationship between a commander and a bird because they care for one another. And then things happen, and you're going to have to read it to find out. The relationship between the two is very cute. It's very entertaining. I laughed a lot through this, and it is a great slow burn romance story. I definitely recommend this if you are a fan of romantic fantasies or romance fantasies, is how Tapas has it listed. Next on Tapas, and the last one that I have on Tapas I'm going to talk about, is My Secretly Hot Husband. I was drawn to this because of the title. Why is he secretly hot? And why must it be kept a secret? You will find out if you read, but Letitia is the main character that you follow. She was never treated well in her uncle's household, and she is married off to the quote-unquote monster lord instead of his precious daughter. So Letitia finds herself married to someone who's probably scary. He kills demons and devils and yeah. But what she finds when she arrives at the Halstead Castle or Holdings is something completely different than what she expected. Her husband is hot. She is trying to help Erden realize that he is not the monster that he sees himself as. She is trying to also build his reputation and his land holdings and all that good stuff. So she is definitely a strong female lead, and if you are interested in strong female leads, I highly recommend My Secretly Hot Husband on Tapas. Next, I'm going to be talking about the comics on Webtoons that I read. This one, I have to say, is my absolute favorite story on Webtoons. It's a romance, and it's by Lily Dusk. Poppy is the MC that you follow, and she is a small town book editor, and she goes to another small town, and she finds a notebook amid something kind of dangerous and kind of grim, and she gets entangled with the mafia. And the main one that she kind of gets entangled with is the bodyguard to this mafia lord, and his name is Tora. And I was first drawn to this story because Tora is the closest piece of artwork or picture that I have found that looks like one of my characters in my upcoming epic. He looks the most like Han I have ever seen. That's the reason why I was drawn to this to begin with. It's a beautiful comic. It is hilarious. There's a lot of shenanigans and some intrigue, and it is awesome. Next on Webtoons is The Gentle Way. The artwork on this is rather unique, and I kind of fell in love with it. Also, June, the main character, is really relatable. She is awkward, she is shy, but she still has this dream of becoming one of the better Judicas in the area because she just wants to defeat her childhood opponent. She so happens to run into one of the best Judicas in the world. And she does her best to try to get up enough nerve to ask him to train her. And yeah, it's cute. It's adorable. Highly recommend it. And there is a puppy because he has a husky. Next is Made for Hire. This one kind of drew me in because, you know, red-headed MC kind of thing. It is an enemies to lovers kind of trope. Also, pretty early on, you see where the female lead and the male lead puts some bullies in their place, and that really helped tie me into Made for Hire. Andrea is the female lead. She is friends with some of the richest girls in school, and she just tries to fit in, so she works all these odd jobs. She just so happens to get hired on at Alex's place, and Alex happens to be the playboy of the class. Her secret's out. Or is it? I apparently have a thing for white-haired male leads. For my derelict favorite has one of those, and it is another born into a novel type story. So Hestia enters in her favorite novel, and she spends quite a bit of time fangirling over being in this novel and seeing the hotties that she read about. Then she decides to save her favorite character from his death, and things go from there. She makes a deal with him, and she just tries to make his life better, and that's what the story follows. So it's again, it's kind of a setting bullies and villains into their place, and it has fangirling in it, which drew me in. Next is another one on Webtoon. It's Saving a Mercenary Unit from Bankruptcy. I'm still trying to decide whether or not this is one of my favorite ones, but so far I've had a lot of fun with this one. Kind of an isekai again, but they don't hold the secret. It's known that they are in a new world from another world. So the main character doesn't have to keep that a secret, and she uses her prior world's knowledge of being a business consultant to help a mercenary corps from bankruptcy. It's kind of cute. I'm kind of wondering how far she's going to go with the mercenary corps, and yeah, it's pretty cool so far. Last but definitely not least is Big Ethel Energy. For those of you who are fans of the Archie comics, I highly recommend this one. Ethel goes back to Riverdale after she's made her name. She is a good journalist, and the mayor of Riverdale actually hires her to write the history of Riverdale, and it pays fairly well. So she decides to go back to Riverdale and write this book. It's not a revenge story, which is what pulled me in. It's Ethel seeing if any of these people that used to kind of torture her have changed any, and it's to see some of her friends that she still has from Riverdale and to visit there. I just love the idea of the bullied returning to their hometown and not getting revenge, just basically checking things out and healing from the past rather than destroying other people's lives. So yeah, those are my favorite webcomics that I have read so far. Let me know what you think in the comments, and let me know if you have read any of these or what your favorite webcomics are on Tapas or Webtoons or any of the other slew of webcomic apps out there. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Be kind to one another out there. Be kind to yourself. Keep writing, keep being creative, and I'll see you next time.